That's a fire on top of the escarpment. It's about 150 metres as the crow flies. But it looks like it's going okay. At this stage I'm not going to backburn. I've wet all the grass around and the fence. There's a lot of blady grass around the fence that I probably should have cleaned up, but I've wet it all. So I'm hoping it'll go out. And some of the big trees that are closer to the house, I've wet around the base. So it should come down here slowly. But I've got the car packed in case. The wind's only light, it's only about 3 or 4 knots at the most. Very light, which is good. I'm not panicking yet, but we'll see what happens. Fire travels 6 times faster uphill than downhill. This will actually, if I survive this, I mean, I will survive it. If the house and the property survives it, this will actually be good for summer. But I'm still pissed off whoever started it today. I've got my suspicions. They call him the arsonist. He's been pretty good for 4 or 5 years, since the big one in 2019. But yeah, these old cockies, they like to let the blady grass burn and then their cattle can eat it, but they don't give a shit about most of the surrounding properties and they just let it go. They should put them in fucking jail as far as I'm concerned. I was up there today walking around checking it out, and it was howling at over 30 or 40 knots, swirling in all directions, and I just ran for it, came back down here. It was too dangerous. I dropped an expensive lens cap for my telly lens. I didn't even take a photo. I was just too scared. It was howling like a freight train, but it's settled down now. I just don't want it to get in the trees. But yeah, the people like Donald Trump and all those fuckers on the right wing who say there's not fucking climate change. I've only been here for 7 years. I've had 3 fires, 4 floods, a mini tornado. They all live in their fucking air-conditioned houses with their air-conditioned cars and their air-conditioned offices. Out here in the bush, it's just, you're right at ground zero. I mean, people say, yeah, it's a natural part of life, but it's not natural for it to burn this much and this often. It's actually bad for the animals, bad for the flora, bad for the fauna. It's too dangerous to burn off here even in winter. You just take off. So all I do is little mosaic burns around the house. There's some rock platforms that I just keep under control because you can't really mow around them. But yeah, I only do like 2 or 3 square metres at a time. And you don't do anything after the 1st of September. You do it all in winter. And you do it on a still day, of course, and you burn from the furthest direction where the wind's coming from back towards yourself and stand there with a hose. It's the only way. I'm a city slicker, but I've lived out in the bush now for nearly 7 years. And even in Sydney, we lived on the edge of the national park, so we saw some pretty bad fires there and put them out, or helped put them out from the water. Once with kayaks, come in where there were spot fires just still burning, and we took buckets up and just put them out in some of the more isolated areas. So I'm sort of comfortable around fire, but it scares the bejesus out of me, to be honest. I'd rather flood any day. I can swim. And here, if it floods, I just get disconnected from town, usually 3 or 4 days, maybe 5 days. But the big flood, it washed away my causeway, so I couldn't get a car out for over 12 months. I had to use a dirt bike to get into town. But yeah, that's living in the bush. That's probably the biggest spot there. And then back over here. The lens of the camera doesn't really pick up the flames. But, I don't think I'll get any sleep tonight. I used to be on call for 30 odd years with IT, so I can go 2 days or more without sleep. It's sort of just as long as I catch up within the next week. I don't know what it does to my health long term, but I'm pretty used to it. Yeah, that's fires for you.